Okay, we're good to start.
Okay. Good evening. Today is July 22nd, 2020. My name is Rob Cagnetta, and this is the meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Thomas Daniels, the Vice Chairman, Richard Jerzak, John Bernardo, William Mark, and Bill Rosen, who is the alternate number 1. Also present are Wayne Pimentel, the South Kingstown Zoning Board official, Amy Goins, South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, and Jessica Spence, Administrative Support Associate. This board is made up of 7 people, and 5 of them are regular voting members. 5 members are required to be present to vote. In the event of one of the 5 regular members is not present, and the alternate will step in. And in this case, the first case, Mr. Bernardo is going to not vote, and Mr. Rosen is going to vote. Then tonight, the voting members will be myself, Thomas Daniels, Richard Jerzak, John Bernardo, and William Mark. Applicants are here either for a variance, dimensional, or use, or to seek a special use permit. This board is a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance, pursuant to the state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and when we operate in what we believe to be a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak unless they get a little carried away or it's determined not to be relevant. So in the interest of time, please try to be brief and on point. We do our best not to argue and keep things civil, and we try to have the last petition start by 10 p.m. When your petition is called, please come forward, which basically means Jessica will unmute you and get you ready to speak. And clearly state your name and spell it for the record, please. So speak clearly, and then you will be asked to take an oath to tell the truth. And then you can present your petition along with any other witnesses that are going to testify in your support. The board will then ask for you or your witnesses if we'll ask them questions. And then after the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone else with questions about the application or wanting to support or oppose it will then be asked to raise their hands, and then you will be recognized and speak. You will be identify yourselves by speaking your name, and you will be sworn in, present your testimony, which may be followed up by questions from the board. Please don't direct any of your questions to the petitioner or the other witnesses. The board will make sure that those questions are answered. And then after hearing all the testimony and before the vote is taken, board members will be asked to openly discuss the evidence presented. So you're aware, variances or special use permits require 4 of 5 voting members in favor of granting the requested relief. So there are times that we have discussion and we recognize that there's not going to be support, and we offer other options perhaps before the vote. Board members will ask a lot of questions, and it's a good reason. We cannot grant just anything we choose. There are rules to follow per the South Kingstown's ordinance. You must give testimony, support certain facts that allow you to your request to be preserved or to approved. Excuse me. Tonight we have dimensional variances and special use permits on the agenda. For variances, you must offer evidence to the board setting forth the following: that your hardship is due to unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and is not due to the general characteristics to the surrounding area. That your hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part. That granting this variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. That the relief requested is the least necessary. And you must also show that your hardship you must show that the hardship that that will be suffered if the variance is not granted will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. For special use permits, you must present the following: that the special use permit that you're requesting is authorized by the zoning ordinance. Somewhere in the zoning ordinance, this has to be authorized. If not, we don't have the power to grant it. That the special use permit meets all the criteria set forth in the zoning ordinance authorized by the special use, and granting of the special use permit will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair the purpose or intent of the zoning ordinance. Just to review, Jessica, can you let people know how the process works on Zoom so they know?
Great. Thank you all for joining us tonight on Zoom. I just want to review a couple of things prior to the petitions being heard. As Rob had, the chairman had detailed, the meeting runs basically the same as an in-person meeting. All the applicants will remain muted and their video will remain off until their petition has been called. At that time, I will unmute the applicants and request for them to turn their video on. The applicants will give any testimony. The board may ask any relevant questions. Once the applicant has completed testimony, the chairman will ask if there is anyone in attendance who wishes to speak in regards to the petition. At this point, attendees or people in the audience should raise their hand and they will be unmuted and allowed to speak. When finished speaking, I will put the attendee back on disabled talking. Once all the testimony has been heard, the applicant will be muted, their video will be turned off, and they will be moved to an attendee. And at this point, the applicants are free to either watch the rest of the meeting or they can leave the meeting. A couple of things to keep in mind with Zoom. The agenda and all the supporting documents are available to view online at southkingstownri.com. If you search current zoning applications, that'll bring everything up along, with all of the supporting documents. And then also there is the agenda. If anyone is having any technical difficulties, the agenda includes some helpful fixes. The question and answer function, which some of you may see on your computer, should only be used if you're having a technical issue. No questions in regards to any petition will be answered on this forum. You need to wait for the public comment portion of any given application and raise your hand if you wish to speak. Occasionally, we have people who are only calling in by phone, so it is important that everyone speaks clearly and to always state your name prior to speaking. If you are calling in by phone and wish to speak, you're going to use the *9 function to raise your hand, and then the *6 function will mute and unmute you at the appropriate times. So that's about all I have, and back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jessica. We'll remind people as to how to ask questions during the question period after the presentation of the applicant. Tonight, we're going to start with the continuation of Daniel Cunningham. Is everyone here for that petition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm John Kenyon. I'm attorney for the applicant, Daniel Cunningham. We started our presentation last week, and the issue came up on the impact of Section 203 on the relief being requested. And the town solicitor advised the board that it did apply. Since the last meeting, my client had their architect reduce the size of the house in a manner that we thought could meet the 50% rule. It's not real clear what measurement gets expanded. We submitted that to the town. I don't know if Wayne has had a chance to look at that, but essentially, if the applicant is held to 50% of the total living area increase, meaning that he's currently at 844. If he can only go to approximately 1,200 square feet of total living area, then we're probably going to have to get a written determination from the building official and appeal that, because that type of structure won't be suitable for him. He has 1.3 acres of land under his control, and to be limited to a house that size doesn't make much sense. And that type of decision, the fact that the town would be changing the way it's handled this for the past 22 years, I think would need to notify the association as well as the South Jerry Cove Association to let them know of the way the town is now interpreting that ordinance.
So John, this is Amy, special legal counsel. Does it make more sense then to hold this application in abeyance until you get a determination? Or was it your intent to proceed with the application to see what the zoning board thinks about the differing interpretations?
Well, my understanding is that the zoning board can't really go against Wayne's interpretation unless there's an appeal taken. So would rather not go forward with the application knowing that the board can't grant the relief we're requesting. So we'd ask that it be held in abeyance until we can appeal his determination.
Do you want to withdraw it or keep it on the agenda from month to month, and perhaps a 2-month continuance would be appropriate initially? That's up to you, John.
Yeah, I think a 2-month continuance would make sense.
Should we have more discussion on this? Wayne, do you have anything to add to that, or does that pretty much sum up your position?
I mean, we've discussed this, I've discussed it with Amy and John at length, and there's, some differing opinions as to the interpretation of section 203, especially as it relates to how it's been interpreted in the past. Perhaps some final clarification is warranted on this, seeing as though, it's been interpreted one way previously. Mm-hmm. And, reading the standard, it can certainly, looks like it can be interpreted a whole different way. So, John, will you formally be requesting from me my interpretation of that section so that you can then move forward?
Yes, I think we'd have to ask you for that determination, and then once we have that in writing, we would then appeal to the zoning board.
Okay.
Any members have any comments on this? Questions?
Yeah, this is Bill Rosen. Is this a conflict between 203 and 204 of the zoning ordinances?
This is not a conflict because 203 and 204 deal with different subjects. 203 deals with non-conforming uses. And again, my opinion is that we are talking about a non-conforming use that exists on the parcel today by virtue of the multiple dwellings on one lot. So my opinion is the residential use of the lot due to the multiple dwellings is non-conforming. 203 governs expansions to non-conforming uses. They're allowed by special use permit with the limitation of no more than a 50% expansion. 204 deals with non-conforming buildings or structures that are non-conforming by dimension. So 204, I don't think applies here. John, I just want to make one final suggestion, and perhaps this is something that we might be able to resolve it amicably. Have you or your client considered the possibility of requesting an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would apply specifically to these two properties like this one, and would more clearly state the rules or change what the rules are now?
I haven't spoken to the client about that. That process does take a while.
Yes.
that may be what he has to do if we get a negative determination from the zoning board.
Mhm.
We can start talking with the planning staff about crafting that language just in case.
Okay.
Could I ask a question? This is Bill Moore. So what is the differentiation we're looking at, whether it is the structure or the land? For the non-conformance aspect, what?
So I don't disagree with Amy that it's non-conforming by use. It's whether we're actually expanding a non-conforming use by
Of the
increasing the size of the house as opposed to increasing the non-conformity.
Relative.
The non-conformance conveys to the land because of the number of houses on the lot,
Exactly.
and it's being pulled down to the structure itself within, like a non-conformance within a non-conformance, more or less.
So Bill, it's my opinion that you can't separate the land from the structures because the use can't exist without the structure. So by contrast, take a farm, let's say. You can have a farm use without a building. That's inherently tied to the land. You cannot have a residential use existing without a residential structure. So that's the reason for my opinion. The non-conforming use is tied to the structure as well. And I think considering the intent of the provision, the idea is to allow non-conforming uses again to remain and permit them limited expansions. You know, hypothetically, if we're talking about a lot with 10 structures on it, each of, each having 1,000 square feet, I think under John's preferred interpretation of this structure, one of the houses would be able to expand well beyond 50%, provided that it didn't hit the cumulative ceiling for a 50% expansion. And I don't believe that is the intent of the section. Also, the plain language of the section says the non-conforming use of a building, structure, or land may be enlarged, provided that it doesn't exceed 50% in excess of the existing floor area, land, or intensity. So again, I don't think the intensity of the non-conforming use, and intensity I would consider to be the number of dwelling units, can be divorced from the size of the dwelling units. And I think there's certainly room for reasonable minds to disagree. And that's where, when the appeal is filed, you'll have to parse that section and decide which interpretation carries the day.
So does that mean in our, in 2 months, John, you're going to file the appeal within that 2 months? Or is it that, is that separate, or is that still part of the same application?
Well, no, it'll be, what I think would happen is you would hear the appeal, and if you decide in our favor, then we can move forward with the application. If you don't, then we would have to withdraw the application.
So 2 months is enough time to put this on a continuation to file that appeal? By
Yes.
next- Okay.
That date would be September 16th.
Any other board members have any questions, comments? So John, Mr. Bernardo, you are not voting on this one. But does someone want to make a motion to continue this till September 16th?
Is that up to September 16th? Because this could be heard possibly in August, correct? It's just a 2-month continuance.
The appeal could be heard in August. It's up to you, John. If you want to request only a 1-month continuance, that's fine.
That date is
I-
August 19th. Sorry, John.
Yeah, and I thought the deadline for August was already passed.
We'd be continuing, so you'd be able to continue it 1 month. We don't need to re-advertise.
Right, but we're not going to be, the appeal couldn't be heard in August.
Does our deadline apply to appeal applications or just regular
Just
applications for
regular
relief?
applications
Okay,
that would
yeah,
need
that's
to be advertised. That's really what the deadline's for.
Okay, I mean, if it's possible, then we would prefer to get on in August. I just thought that you maybe already had your advertising out to the newspaper for the August meeting.
I don't know if an appeal has to be advertised though.
No, no, it does not.
Oh,
But we could talk about that further and, if everything gets done in time, then we can certainly do it for the August 19th meeting.
okay, that'd be great.
And then we can extend it again, correct? Till September 16th if need be.
Correct.
Okay. So August 19th, does someone want to make a motion to continue the petition of Daniel Cunningham?
I'm sorry, I have to, I just want to correct myself. We do have to give 14 days notice, Jess, of the hearing on the appeal.
Oh, okay.
14 days notice and mail notice to abutters.
Okay.
So, Tom Daniels, so that would mean the 14th, the 5th rather of August, notice would have to be given by the 5th of August.
Yes,
So that doesn't leave much time for the building official to receive the request, make his decision, and for the attorney to file his appeal, does it? Doesn't seem like it does.
I mean, it depends how timely John gets it in. I mean, I think we've all reviewed this enough. I think we kind of know where we stand. So I don't think it would take all that much time. As long as John puts the request in, I do my review of it, and John can then move forward with the appeal. So, I mean, I think it's definitely possible.
What we would run into, if it needs to be advertised, it would have to go in the 31st newspaper because the following week is the 7th. The Narragansett Times is only running on Fridays now. They're no longer doing Wednesdays because of everything that's going on. So the ad deadline for the 31st is the 27th, which is next Monday. So this would kind of all need to be wrapped up within 4 days basically, or 3 working days to get it advertised. And I don't know if that's possible or not. That's up to you guys.
Again, we can make it the August 19th and change it if we need to. So, I mean, John, if you wanted to try to keep it moving, we can continue to the 19th. And if
Yeah, that would be great. Let's try for that, and then we'll continue if we don't meet it.
if we don't meet the advertising deadline or something like that. Okay.
Right.
And that's not a problem for him to continue if he misses the deadline. Okay. So
I'll move the continuance petition of Daniel J. Cunningham as, excuse me, as read into the record by the chairman. Move the continuance to August 19th zoning board meeting.
thank you. Motion made by Mr. Daniels. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mark.
Second by Mr. Mark. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Rosen,
Hi.
Mr. Jurzak,
Aye.
Mr. Mark,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes August 19th.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the petition of Kevin and Kathleen Moore of 112 Homeward Lane in North Attleboro, Mass. 02760 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct an addition on the left side of the second floor and extend the second floor deck on the left side. This parcel is a non-conforming by dimension, so reduced setbacks are allowed. The deck extension on the left side will be located 4.1 feet from the left side of the property line. The side yard setback requirement is 10 feet. Relief of 5.9 feet is requested. The second floor addition on the left side will be located 7.6 feet from the left side of the property line. Side yard setback is 10 feet. Relief of 2.4 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.19 acres. A dimensional variance is required per zoning ordinance section 207. That's non-conforming lots of record building setback requirements, and section 907, which is our standards of relief. Owner of the property is Kevin and Kathleen Moore for premises located at 30 Ocean Avenue, Assessors Map 93-1, Lot 68, and is zoned R20. Is someone here for the Moore residents?
Yes, I'm here tonight, Laura Krikorian, architect.
Laura?
And I'm the owner.
Okay. And who's going to speak first on this? Oh,
I will.
Chairman,
yes.
would you like me to read into record the documents that have been submitted?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So what has been submitted with this application is the completed application with narrative dated May 28th, 2020, 200-foot radius map and a butters list, an owner authorization form from Kathleen Moore dated May 28th, 2020, the DEM OWTS permit search, a site plan dated May 28th, 2020 by Richard Kushon, the professional land surveyor. There's a plan set, an existing first and second floor plans, an outline specification, proposed first and second floor plans, window schedule, elevation and sections. That is all dated May 29th, 2020, prepared by Laura Krikorian, architect, and then a photograph of the existing rear deck and porch, and then a legal notice, certified mailing receipts, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Laura Krikorian, can you spell your name?
Sure. It's Laura, Laura, Krikorian, Krekoриan.
Thank you. And raise your right hand. You tell the whole truth. So help you God.
I do.
Okay. And then Kathleen Moore, could you spell your name, please, as well?
Moore.
Okay. First name?
Kathleen, Kathleen.
Okay. And then do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Krikorian, why don't you go ahead and present the information you have?
Sure. So my name is Laura Krikorian. I am a licensed architect in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, and my office is at 40 Main Street in Field. I'm here tonight with Kevin and Kathleen Moore. They are the property owners of 30 Ocean Avenue. This is Plat 93-1, Lot 68. It is an 8,550 square foot lot, and it is in an R20 zone, so it is a substandard lot of record. The lot, I believe, is only about 43 feet in width. There is on this property an existing 2-bedroom house, and the house has been on the property since 1953. So the Moores didn't build this house in this location. It has been there since 1953. Jess, if you want to refer to the site plan.
Sure, give me just 1 minute.
Sure, you'll see on the site plan that we do meet front yard setback, the right side yard setback, and the rear setbacks. We also meet lot coverage, and with the proposed work, we're going no closer to the coastal feature. This property is also served by town water, and it has a fairly new septic system that I believe was installed in 2008. We are here tonight for a left side yard variance for the proposed work on that side of the house. Did you find the site plan?
There it is.
Everyone has it in their package, but you can see that it is a pretty narrow lot. There also is a 10-foot right of way on that left side of the property. So this is a unique house as well. It is it has the living space on the second floor and the bedrooms down on the first floor. And there's also a kind of unique feature about the house, which is a wraparound porch that goes around all 4 sides of the second floor of the house. This is also a very unique project in that my client did not want to knock down the house and build a whole new structure. They really wanted to work with the existing conditions, work with the existing footprint, and work with the existing house, but just try to make it work a little bit better for them. Those are, yep, existing plans. You can see there on the screen. You can see that the first floor has the bedrooms and a deck, and the second floor is all of the living space with that wraparound porch. If you go to the new plans now, Jess, that would be great. This project has several parts. We did work really hard to try to minimize the amount of work with the project and with the amount of work that we were proposing here. The project includes reworking some of the first floor and relocating an interior stair. It also includes renovating up on the second floor and adding a deck over half of the existing deck down below in the same footprint of the first floor deck, but only over half of it. And that gets me to one of the main goals of the project, which was to remedy a major water infiltration problem that the client has had at the house. It's been an ongoing problem and it has been repaired several times. And this occurs on the water side, so towards the rear of the house, where the existing wraparound porch on the front and left and right side, that porch is over open space. But on the rear of the house facing the pond, that open porch is above living space below. And that is where this water infiltration problem has been ongoing for some time. So with this project, our intent was not to try to repair that once again and still have water leaking into their bedrooms down below, but to remove the finishes from the porch and repair any damaged framing, do any mold remediation we might need to do, and replace insulation, obviously. And you can see that in the photo there. That's the porch up on the second floor under the existing roof there. And then infill the porch out to the outside walls of the first floor. So not even as far as you can see the porch going on each side, but out to the exterior walls on the first floor. So we would infill that with more living space on the second floor. When we infill that space, it became clear that the stair, the exterior stair to the, I believe it's to the north. Yep, to the north. So you can see it on the left-hand side of your screen there, just a part of it heading down from the deck. Yep, you're pointing at, that's it. That stair no longer will have a landing at the top that will meet any kind of clearance requirements. So it was clear that that stair needed to be removed. There's also a stair on the south side you can see just near the outdoor shower there. That stair is really steep. It's very cumbersome. It comes up through a hatchway in the deck, believe it or not. So the intent was to remove both of those exterior stairs and replace them with just one stair. When we looked at where to locate that stair, we chose the location we did for several reasons. One of them helped us minimize the amount of work and disruption we were going to have to do to the existing conditions of the house. It allowed us to put footings for the stair into the ground adjacent to the deck, as opposed to ripping up the lower deck and having to install footings there. It also allowed us to create a landing at the top that would connect to not only the new deck on the second floor, but also back to the side wraparound deck, which was one of the features about this house that was so unique and special, and the client was really trying to maintain that feature. So with the landing at the top of the stairs there, we're able to connect to the rear deck as well as around to the side, which connects to the front. The stair also in that location is in a great spot to create a kind of privacy screen between the Moores and the neighbor to the south, which is a little bit close on that property line. I will also say that with the stair and the infill of the second floor, we are not going any closer than the existing house does today. We're aligning all of the work with the existing exterior walls of the house on the second floor. With that infill, we are, I believe it's 7.6 feet to the property line. So we're asking for 2.4 feet of relief with the infill on the second floor, and with the landing of the stair, that's the closest corner of the exterior stair and deck area. that is 4.1 feet to the property line. So we're requesting 5.9 feet of relief for that area. We did, like I said, work really hard to minimize the amount of work we were doing on the house with this project. The Moores did not build the house in this location. It has been there since 1953. So they didn't cause this problem. And I believe that the work not only is in keeping with the style and the scale of this particular house, but also with the style and scale of other houses in the neighborhood. I also do have Kevin and Kathy Moore here. If you have any questions about the project for either me or for Kevin and Kathy, I'm sure we'd be happy to answer them.
Question, Tom Daniels. Ms. Krikorian, the right-of-way is not part of this parcel, correct?
No.
Okay.
John Bernardo has a question for Laura.
Okay.
So Laura, the deck on the second floor, that's the only part of the second floor that needs relief. Is that correct?
It's the landing at the top of the stair, I believe. Wayne, you could correct me. That's how we were looking at it. It was the section of yes, the top of the stair landing is the closest corner of the house to the property line.
So if you drop the plumb line from the deck on the second floor, the outermost portion toward the right of way, it would sit on the footprint of the first floor of the house?
There is a roof over this area. The area is open on the ground. You can stand under it. It's like a porch down below, but there is a roof. The roof extends over this area.
The roof from the first floor?
Actually, no, the roof doesn't extend over the new section of deck. The roof does extend out to the 4.1 feet.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is what you're building on the second floor fits immediately within the footprint of what's on the first floor. Is that
No,
right? No?
no, the second floor infill of living space is inside the footprint of the living
Okay, I
the
get
house,
you.
of the roof of the house. But if you look at the site plan one more time, Jess, maybe that will help a little bit. The landing doesn't go any closer than the roof of the house does presently. So you can see there's a little hatched area where Rich Kushan labeled the 4.1 feet. That is just an open landing at the top of the stair. It does not have any roof over it at all. And it is not inside the footprint, the existing footprint of the house.
Right, so,
Open landing with no roof on it.
okay.
But the area that says existing deck with roof, even on the south side, south and north side both, that is roofed area already. That is 4.1 feet to the property line.
Jess, maybe you could put up that picture again, the exterior.
Yeah, yep. It's not just an open deck that wraps around the house. It is a roofed porch on the second floor.
And for clarification, Wayne, that roof is not considered that overhang is not considered part of the footprint. So if they're extending the railing or the deck, the stairs to underneath that, it's a new footprint because the roof doesn't count, right?
No, the roof would count. There's
The
only
roof does count.
inch exemption for roof overhangs.
Okay.
And plus the deck is there too, so the roof mirrors the deck footprint.
Oh, it does all the way around now in the existing?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay. John, is that it?
That's it.
Any other board members for questions for Laura? Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
And does anyone else want to speak in behalf of this application? Kathleen, did you want to say anything to add to Laura's?
No, Laura did it very nicely. The only thing I would add is that the stairs coming up the south side, that with that hatch, it's very unsafe. We can't use it. The wood is rotted through and the hatch is unsafe, and the stairs going up it are very, very steep. So part of putting those stairs was getting a better right of way or easement out, because we absolutely cannot use those safely.
Wayne, is a hatch legal? Like to walk across an open stair with a hatch?
If that was open and there's no guard on the side opposite that, then yeah, that would not be allowed. I mean, looking at the plan, it definitely looks like a very unsafe situation there.
Yeah, we're fixing that. I mean, it's going to be closed off and it'll not exist anymore. That's part of the repair.
I'm not bringing that up to cite you. It's bringing it up more to just say that you're trying to rectify.
Yeah, it's part of the problem that we're trying to fix.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Kathleen? Any members? No? Kathleen, you have anything to add?
Nope.
No? Do you have any other, anyone that wants to speak on behalf of you guys?
No.
So Jessica, do you want to remind folks how to raise their hand? or
Sure.
speak?
So if there's anyone in attendance who wishes to either speak for or against the petition, if you're on your computer, you're going to use the little raise hand function. If you're calling in by phone, you're going to hit *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. And Mr. Chairman, no one has raised their hand.
Board members, is there any discussion on this? How are people feeling? John, you're shaking your head no. Is that a no, like no questions, everything's good? Or
No discussion
No discussion.
for me.
Anyone else? Rick, you have any thoughts?
Oh, no problem with me.
No problem. Tom? No one?
No problem at all.
Anyone want to make a motion to for this petition?
I want to hear Rick make a motion, but I'm going to go ahead and do this one.
Go ahead.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the petition of Kevin and Kathleen Moore, 112 Homeward Lane, North Attleboro, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct an addition on the left side of the second floor and extend the second floor deck on the left side. The parcel is non-conforming by dimension, so reduced setbacks are allowed. The deck extension on the left side will be located 4.1 feet from the left side property line. The side yard setback is 10 feet, so relief of 5.9 is being requested. The second floor addition on the left side will be 7.6 feet from the left side property line. Again, the side yard setback is 10 feet. Do the math, it's 2.4 feet they're looking for. This is a 0.19 acre parcel. Section 207 and 907 standards of relief. Kevin and Kathleen Moore are the owners at 30 Ocean Avenue, map 93-1, lot 68. And we're in the R20 zone. This is a substandard lot of record. It has an existing approved DEM OWTS system. It's not a subject of this petition at all. The property sits on a right-of-way off of Ocean Avenue down to Seaweed Cove. Laura Krikorian testified on behalf of the homeowner. She indicated what we can read on the site plan, that this is a lot that's 8,550 square feet of land. It's an existing 2-bedroom home that was built in 1953. To the owner's credit, they don't want to do a tear down and a build up. They're going to stay within pretty much the same footprint as before. And also at the same time, they're going to rectify what apparently is some dangerous points of exit and entry on the second floor stairway to the deck. And also they're doing some significant reworking of the first floor to make the property more functional. And in doing that, also they need to, they're going to correct the stairway on the deck that I just mentioned. And there apparently is a water issue in the rear of the property, and maybe they'll be able to address that during that process, this process as well. The architect testified that the deck is not practical, the deck on the second floor, and is awkward and probably dangerous, as previously mentioned. The architect who's known to this zoning board indicated that the finished project will be consistent with the homes in the nearby neighborhood. The applicant, the owner spoke briefly. No one else spoke in support or opposition to the petition. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. And of course, we know that the applicant didn't build this house originally. They purchased it. It was as built in 1953. You're going to make it safer and more consistent with the neighborhood houses and more practical for the residential function of this property. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. Again, the applicant did not build this property, and they're going to in fact make it at least safer and more attractive and functional. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan. I'm relying on the statement of the architect that the finished structure will be consistent with the homes in the surrounding area. The board finds that the relief granted is the least relief necessary. I would suggest that the requested relief is modest in terms of what they're looking for. And lastly, we find that the hardship suffered by the owner of the property, if this dimensional variance was not granted, would amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And of course, I would tie in all of the drawings and plans submitted in support of the application. Period.
Great. The motion is made by Mr. Bernardo. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Mark.
Second by Mr. Mark.
Okay.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Bernardo,
Aye.
Mr. Mark,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Jurzak,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the petition of Compass School. CO Michael Commendator of 537 Old North Road in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02879, for a special use permit modification under the zoning ordinance as follows. The Compass School is seeking to construct an outdoor 25-foot by 45-foot pavilion for use in outdoor school activities and as a covered bus waiting area. Because this property is zoned for residential use and there is a current special use permit in place for the educational use, any modification or expansion requires approval from this zoning board. The lot size is 5 acres. The special use permit is required per zoning ordinance section 202 for building structures or land non-conforming by use. And section 203, which is the special use permit for the addition, enlargement, expansion, or intensification. And section 907, which is our standards of relief. The property is owned by the Compass School for premises located at 537 Old North Road, South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Assessors map 16-4, lot 16, and is zoned R40. Use code is 20 for educational institution, primary through secondary. Who is here for this petition?
Michael Commendator. And
Okay.
Jess, can you unmute the Compass School? Did you, I think you just did that. Thank you.
Okay. So Michael, could you spell your first and last name, please?
Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Commendator, C-O-M-M-E-N-D-A-T-O-R-E.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please, could you let me know what we have in the record?
Yes, we have an application dated May 29th, 2020. We have the photos of the proposed structure. We have a 200-foot radius map and a butters list. We have the owner authorization form from Michael Commendatore dated May 29th, 2020. We have a site plan dated April 19th, 2009, prepared by Toronto Architects. And we have the legal notice, certified mail receipts, and notarized affidavit of mailing.
Fantastic. Okay. So Mr. Commendatore, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm pretty much going to repeat a lot of what you said today, but I'll start by saying good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the zoning board. My name is Michael Commendatore. I'm the Director of Finance and Head of Facilities at the Compass School. We're located at 537 Old North Road, Assessors Map 16-4, Lot 16. I come before you to request a special use permit to build a pavilion in place of a removed modular classroom. As most of you are aware, we are in the final stages of converting a historical barn on the east side of our property into our new middle school. The extra space we will gain from the barn renovation project allows us to remove 2 modular units consisting of 4 classrooms from the property. The pavilion will go in the place of the modular unit that was formerly located closest to the main school building. In order to expedite dismissal procedures, a pavilion in close proximity to our parking lot is necessary for students waiting for the bus or ride. This pavilion will keep students protected from the sun, rain, or snow while waiting. The pavilion will also be used for other outdoor student activity, including our summer and after-school farm camp, as well as physical education on rainy days. It should be noted that the entire construction of the pavilion and concrete flooring, estimated at $33,000, is funded through 2 grants, the Dermatology Association of America and the Horace A. Kimball and S. Ella Kimball Foundation. With me here tonight is Brandy Lepisky, Director of Compass School, and feel free to ask us any questions. I'd also like to note that although the application said 5 acres, the school school's lot size is a total of 20 acres.
20 acres, okay. That shouldn't matter in the case, but okay, great. Anybody have any questions?
John Bernardo has a question
Yes, John.
for Michael, Mr. Chairman. Michael Commendatore. Did I say that right?
Commendator, it's without the E at the end. Yep, you're close.
Oh, it has an E on my,
Common mistake.
okay. Anyway, so there's a picture in the packet. Is this what it's going to look like?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and, yeah, I don't have any issue with that. I thought maybe it was already built, one of those deals, but,
No, it'll be built on site.
yeah, it's gonna keep the kids safe and, is it COVID proof?
It'll give us a little more spacing for the kids. Absolutely.
All right. I'm all good, thank you.
Board members, any other questions?
I have a quick question. And you said it was replacing an existing structure in the same spot?
Yeah.
A temporary classroom that's already
Yeah,
there?
we had temporary modular units there for classrooms, and it's going where one was prior.
Okay.
But these were temporary trailers, technically, but
Yes.
allowed to be there through special use permit.
Correct.
Right. Board members, any other questions?
Yeah, Bill Rosen. Just one simple question. How long is it going to take to put this up?
Less than a month. The longest it's going to take is the concrete to cure. The petition will be built in 1 day.
Cool.
There's no electricity. There's no electricity or water going out to the pavilion, so it'll be built quickly.
Will it be ready for the fall semester?
That's our plan. Yes, to have it done by as soon as the 20-day appeal process is over. We're going to begin immediately if approved tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Board members, any other questions? Okay, Brandy, he said that, did you want to speak at all about the petition?
Brandy, we can't hear you also, Rob. She should be sworn in if she's going to speak.
Yep, okay. Can we hear you now? Brandy? No. No?
No. She can call in if she wants.
I'm gonna give her a quick call and see if
Are the earbuds messing up? Or
like to relay anything.
let me see. So you mentioned that there is not any.
Okay, thank you.
There's no electricity.
Brandy is all set. Thank you.
She's all set. Okay, thank you. So no electricity, no plumbing, no services, no
Correct.
sprinkler systems, no nothing.
Correct. Just a pavilion. Yeah.
There's adequate lighting surrounding it for egress and in and out and
Yes.
around the structure. Wayne, is there any considerations? You don't need to know anything just in terms of how it's built. It's just the fact that it could be there. You can deal with all the other issues of.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on behalf of this petition? And Jessica, do you want to remind folks as to how they do that?
Sure. Right now, I don't see anyone calling in by phone, but if you are as an attendee and you wish to speak, use the raise your hand function.
Okay.
There's only 2 people there and no one is raising their hand.
Okay. Thoughts? Anyone on the board?
I think it's a no-brainer. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay. Great. Is that so? You're going to do this one, John? You're not going to make Rick do this?
No, I'm going strong now because I'm going to peter out till the end.
Okay, go for it.
I move that we approve the petition of the Compass School, 537 Old North Road, South Kingston. This is a special use permit modification under the zoning ordinance. The Compass School is seeking to construct an outdoor 25-foot by 45-foot pavilion for use in outdoor school activities and as a covered bus waiting area. Because this property is zoned for residential use, there is current special use permit in place for the educational use, and any modification or expansion requires approval of this zoning board. The lot size might have been advertised as 5 acres, but I believe Michael Commendador, the door, corrected that and said it's 20 acres. The special use is required under the zoning ordinance 202, 203, and 907 as far as standards of relief. Again, the property is owned by Compass School, and it's 537 Old North Road, map 16 for lot 16. It's in the R40 zone. Use code is 20, educational institution. The Compass School has been before this board a number of times, improving their property and making a quite a significant contribution to the educational community here in South Kingston. In the process of improving their property and converting a historic barn on the property into a new middle school, that freed up some more space and got rid of some of the modular buildings, which is going to make way for this structure, which has no sides and simply a pavilion where the kids can get out of the rain and any other kind of weather. Also could be used for outdoor phys ed or any other activities, but more importantly, keep the kids safe when the buses are coming in and keep them off the roadway. The structure itself won't require any electricity or water or plumbing, although there was mention of lighting. I don't know how the lighting's gonna, maybe it's not gonna be on the structure itself, but I'm sure the good people at Compass School have that figured out. Again, this is a special use permit. The Director of Finances, Michael Commendatore, he spoke on behalf of this petition. Brandy tried to speak but was zoomed out. The board finds that the special use is specifically authorized by this ordinance because section 203 and 907, of course, allows it. The board finds that the special use meets all the criteria set forth in the subsection of the ordinance authorizing the special use because it's a structure almost only in name because, again, it has no sides. It's got the roof and pylons on the side and a concrete, what looks like a concrete pavement. And again, the function will be to keep the children at the school safe. The board finds the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, nor impair the intended purpose of the ordinance or the comprehensive plan. In so doing, the board has considered issues regarding ingress or egress. Again, that will be for the bus to come in, pick up the kids, and of course, if they're all huddled under that pavilion, it'll be a safer event for the children, and also to keep them out of any inclement weather. Off-street parking, not an issue. Trash storage, not an issue. Same with utility screening, signs. With that said, I move that we approve this special use permit modification.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Sure.
Someone just raised their hand who I know to be a neighbor of the Compass School. They were in the meeting earlier and they weren't present during the public portion. I don't know if they can be addressed now or not.
Rob, please, this is Amy. Please give them an opportunity to, yeah, I also saw this Plaskunis name at the beginning of the meeting. I wasn't paying attention to see if they were here for the whole thing, but please give them an opportunity to speak.
Sure. Now, should I have that as part of the discussion? Should we second his or not?
I would just reopen the public hearing to allow these people to speak and explain what, if anything, they heard of the discussion, and if they want to weigh in. A motion has already been made, but yeah, based on the difficulties inherent in the remote meeting and the fact that Jess knows they are potential abutters, I recommend you reopen it.
Absolutely. Now, do I have to take a vote to reopen the meeting? No.
You can do that as the chair.
So Jess, what's their names?
It is Suzanne and Peter Pliskunis, and they are unmuted. So once you swear them in, they can, they'll be allowed to speak.
Okay. Suzanne and Peter, could you please state your name and spell it?
Yes, it's Suzanne Pliskunis, SUZANNE PLESKUNAS.
Okay. And Peter, did you want to as well? Is Peter going to speak or just yourself, Suzanne?
I'll speak unless you have a specific question for Peter, if that's all right.
Not at all. So do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm very sorry. We actually sat through last week's meeting all the way through to sit with this, then got on tonight while we're on vacation and lost the internet connection right after Mr. Michael started speaking. So we were a little stressed in between, but we've got back. And so we didn't get to hear a lot of things. I did hear an important point for us, which is that it will not have power running to it, etc. And I'm questioning the lighting plan exactly, because lighting at Compass is a big issue for us. And we've worked very hard with them to come up with a plan that works for everybody. So I'd like to see what the plan is on lighting. Also, I understand they're talking about using it for gym classes. I don't know if any of this was addressed, but I'd like to know more about the program of the gym class in terms of the music played, the hours, amount of time per week, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And I'm also have a question about whether they spoke about the use of it for other school, I see events. I'm not sure of the wording. School functions, I'd like to know more about that, what the hours would be, lighting, sound quality, etc. Those are my questions, and I apologize if they were addressed.
No, don't apologize at all. Okay, so first, does any board members have any questions for Suzanne related to this before I ask the applicant? No, okay. So Michael, what is, we have a lighting question, the gym classes, and the use for other functions.
Okay, I'm gonna let Brandy, hopefully she can, you guys can hear her now. Brandy,
Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Brandy,
Well-
before you speak, could you please spell your name and spell your name?
Certainly. My first name is Brandy, Brandee, and my last name is Lapisky, Lapisky.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great, so go ahead.
All right. So in terms of lighting, the main intention for it is day use, and so we don't have any intention for lighting. There's special new lighting, which we're grateful for the Pliskunis family for giving us some tips and everything on lighting for the parking lot. So there's some new dark sky lighting that's going in as part of the barn renovation package and everything. So that would suffice for any nighttime lighting. If there were a special event, the only thing I could think of is that maybe the 8th grade might want to have their 8th grade dance or something there if that ever were to happen, but I don't even know if that, I would say that it might be like Christmas tree lights strung around the edge and those kind of things. But the primary purpose would be during daytime use. So there's not a large lighting plan.
Are you planning on leasing it out to any outside groups?
We do
like
not.
Raves or anything?
Nope.
No. Okay. Is there any board members that have any questions?
So there were a couple of other points that Suzanne made. One of the questions was about PE. So PE already exists in that location. It happens on the field that's right there. prior to the establishment of the modular classroom that was formerly there, PE was also in that area as well. So this doesn't change the location really that the PE field occupies. And there is no power going to the structure at this time. There's power nearby at the main building with an exterior outlet and things like that. If there were power to be used for it, it would likely be through an extension cord to that location. But we don't intend for any power to be in the pavilion.
So you don't have necessarily an intent to sort of expand sort of your programming to be more outdoors or go later or just expand outdoors just for the.
And we are already an outdoor program. That's actually part of our mission. So we spend a lot of the day outdoors. We do already have a after school farm program that's in that same area. I anticipate that the farm kiddos will use it. But for the most part, after 5 o'clock in the evening, there's very little activity, if any, on site, especially in that area.
But the intent isn't to bring more services or programming in because of this building.
It is not. The primary intent right now actually has, it was already a goal, which is why we sought grant funding for it. But with the COVID implications, this actually becomes a critical part of our plan, particularly as we need to really rethink a lot of things. Even music needs to happen outside now and things like that. So that's quite likely that there'll be children over there singing kind of thing. And as we've rethought all of our space. But overall, I would say that I hope that the neighbors are satisfied with it. I will admit, when I first came to the school, it was a bit of an eyesore from the road, and we've been actively working to address that and have intentionally chosen a structure that is not just functional, but is also rather aesthetically pleasing, in my humble opinion.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions?
I do. Brandy, what's your title again, please?
Yep, I'm the school director. So in terms of comparison in a traditional school, I am a superintendent / principal / curriculum coordinator all in one, but my official title is school director.
Mr. Chairman.
Any music out there?
I'm sorry, John?
Tend to have any music played out there?
There's
band practice?
We don't anticipate band practice. There is often music played on the field during PE as a way to get the kids up and moving. But I don't think that the addition of this pavilion will then cause it to be more or less than. I don't think it will be a factor.
Thank you. Sorry, Jess.
Jess, what was it?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Plaskunis raised her hand again.
Oh, of course, yes.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to hear a little more about the gym music, and if there's, I'm not sure about how variances work, but if there's some way that, that having loudspeakers out there at times, I don't know, some way to address that it doesn't become a problem. Not that I am thinking that it will, and I'm very, very happy to hear that their lighting plan is so great, because I believe in the nice dark sky. So thank you for that. I just want to know, there's extension cords from the plug-in, but we're not going to have loudspeakers, I'm hoping, and I wonder if there's any way just to write something of that in terms of hours. If they do have, outside parties, who knows? You know how things can get away from us.
Right.
So just in response, in terms of PE, at this time, all that we're using is just a boom box. It's a portable boom box. There's not like large speakers on stands or anything like that. And we don't intend for that to be the purpose of the use of the space, and it's not what we do currently either.
Okay. And Amy, is there anything within their, would you know if there's anything within their special use that prevents them or limits their use, as time or music or anything like that?
This is Amy. I haven't reviewed the current special use permit. I hesitate to say, to my knowledge, there are no limitations regarding hours or music. You can impose reasonable conditions at your discretion. The only thing I'll caution you on noise, as you've heard from me, I would suggest we stay away from decibel limits because we have no way to enforce those, but our limitations, certainly there's a way to enforce that.
So Brandy, what are the hours of operation or the intended hours of operation for the school?
Sure. So staff begin arriving at 8 o'clock. Students begin arriving at 8:15. The school day concludes at 3 o'clock, and the majority of any after-school activities are typically wrapped up by 5 o'clock. Seldomly, there are some evening events, but keep in mind that we're a kindergarten through 8th grade school, so different than a high school, which might have lots of different evening events at all different times and stuff like that. That's not typical at our school.
And what about annual galas or anything like that? Are they typically held at the school, or are they held in do you have when there was?
Yeah, back when there was when we had gatherings and things like that. There's a festival that happens once a year, the Eco Fair Festival that happens in May. That would be a big one. There's a back to school ice cream social and things like that. But again, when we're thinking of like our large events, the pavilion might be one location within that, but at that point, we're really using our whole campus and whatnot.
Not just the pavilion.
Not
Now,
just the pavilion.
So typically being an 8th grade school, typically we're all asleep around 9 o'clock, right? Or so.
We sure are. I'm the director and also a parent of 2 children who attend the school. I get tuckered out pretty early on.
Okay. Suzanne, is it something that you're thinking restrictions for time? You heard Amy mention that decibel level is a challenge to enforce. Do you have any thoughts on that? Does she have to raise her hand, or is she?
I don't. I just think anything you put in some reasonable time. I mean, why don't we say 9 p.m. or something? Who knows? But and I think they're excellent neighbors. It's not a problem. I just wanted to know what the gym class, if it was going to be any more than it is already. And I appreciate all your answers. I have one other question, if I just could address it. What should one do if we're in a Zoom meeting like this and the power goes out and we still have questions, but of course you've had to move forward? How would that work is my question, but where should I address that?
I'll let Amy answer that.
Well, I'm glad we don't have to address it because you're on the call now. But if you get disconnected, I don't know that we publicize cell phone numbers of town staff. This, I think, is the first time over the last few months since April that we have had a technical issue on a zoning board meeting. I'm sure it won't be the last, so we are going to have to figure that out.
Okay, I mean, I would guess they have the right to appeal because they didn't have access to the meeting.
Thank you. I won't take up any more of your time.
No, thank you. Any other questions from the board for Suzanne? Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any more board members, any questions, or anyone else in the audience want to raise their hands or?
I second the motion of my colleague, Mr. Bernardo.
Okay, very good.
Well, I think I don't know, Mr. Chairman, should I incorporate by way of amendment some of the dialogue that just took place, or Amy, should I just go forward? But you tell me.
I would sit, and I'm sorry, did Ms. Plaskunas hear the entirety of the motion that you made, John?
I hope so, because I'm not going to be able to repeat it.
Let's ask her if she's still on the call. Let's ask her.
I think she hung up already.
Nope, she's
still there. She just needs to unmute.
No, I did not hear the whole proposal. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's have a redo, please, and please do incorporate the discussion.
Thank you.
Whole motion?
Yes, the whole thing. We've got to do it out of you know, out of an abundance of caution and in respect to the right of abutters to hear the whole discussion. We're working out the technical issue.
Okay. I move that we grant the petition of the Compass School at 537 Old North Road in South Kingston for a special use permit modification. The Compass School is seeking to construct an outdoor 25-foot by 45-foot pavilion for use in outdoor school activities and as a covered bus waiting area. Because the property is zoned for residential use and there is a current special use permit in place for educational use, any modification or expansion requires approval of this zoning board. The lot size advertised at 5 acres has been corrected at 20 acres. The special use permit is required under section 202, 203 with the 907 standard. Upper School owns the property and it's map 16-4, lot 16, zoned R40. The Director of Finance, Michael Commendator, testified that this school has been functioning here in the town of South Kingston, and in part of their process in upgrading the physical structures on the building, they recently converted their historic barn on the property into a new middle school. And in doing that, it created more space because they were able to get rid of some of the temporary / more permanent structures on the property and make room for this pavilion, which is needed to keep the children dry and safe for use during the day as a pickup and drop off for buses, and also to be used perhaps for physical education and other school activities. The director, who's the superintendent and principal, Brandy, testified that the activities that she anticipates happening on this inside the pavilion are already taking place outdoor in that area anyway. They do not intend to have any lighting on the structure, and they'll be using the spillage from existing lighting in the area, and they're cognizant of the issue of trying to keep a black sky for their neighbors. A neighbor did testify, Susan Plaskunis. She unfortunately got cut out and was not able to hear the entire presentation, including the motion that I originally made. She got back on, asked some questions of both Brandy and the director, and there was some indication again that whatever is going to take place in that pavilion is already taking place outside on the school property. The Brandy indicated the school opens at 8 and closes, school function, classes I should say, end at 3 and school activities end at 5. This is a K-8 school, no high school, so no intensity of after-school activities as you would see in a high school. Again, there's no electric power running to the area, to the pavilion. And the board finds that the special use is specifically authorized by our ordinance, section 203 and 202. The board finds that the special use meets all the criteria set forth in the subsection authorizing portion, authorizes special use because it has this, as a very deliberate function, the pavilion does. And again, from the testimony of the principal, the structure itself is not going to create any new disturbances. In fact, it's just going to keep the children safe from inclement weather and also during boarding and off-boarding of buses. The board finds that the granting of a special use permit will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the ordinance or comprehensive plan. We've considered a number of factors in making that decision, some of which are relevant. And again, that's ingress and egress. I'll say that this is a good place to keep the children safe during boarding and offloading of buses. Off-street parking is not an issue, neither is trash, storage, utilities, screening, or signs. And based on that and the drawings submitted by the applicant, I would move that we grant the petition.
Thank you, John. The motion was made. Can I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Daniels. Second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Bernardo?
Aye.
Mr. Pagnetta? Mr. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jerzak?
Aye.
And Mr. Mark?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the petition of Heidi Henderson and Stephen Rogers of 16 Elm Street, South Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02879 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct an attached deck and outdoor shower closure closer to the rear property line. Although this parcel is a non-conforming by dimension, there are no further reductions in setbacks allowed. The deck will be located 6 feet from the rear property line. The required setback is 30 feet. The relief is 24 feet that's requested. The accessory outdoor shower will be located 4 feet from the rear property line. The required rear yard setback for accessory structures is 6 feet. Relief of 2 feet is requested. The lot coverage maximum is 25%. The deck, shed, outdoor shower will increase the overlot coverage to 1,723 square feet, or about 30%. Relief of 5% or 270 square feet is requested. The lot size is 5,814 square feet. A dimensional variance is required per our zoning ordinance, section 207, which is for non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements. Section 401, which is our schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907, which is our standards of relief. The owner of the property is Heidi Henderson and Stephen Rogers for the premises located at 16 Elm Street, Assessor's Map 57-4, Lot 187, and is zoned R10. Jessica, what do we have for submittals?
We have a complete signed application that's signed and dated June 10th, 2020. We have the owner authorization form, which is signed and notarized June 10th, 2020. We have the 200-foot radius map and abutters list. We have a zoning sketch prepared by Stephen Pinch, professional land surveyor, dated May 2020. We have a site plan prepared by Stephen Rogers, architect, dated June 10th, 2020. We also have elevations prepared by Stephen Rogers, dated June 10th, 2020. We have an enlarged site plan, which was prepared by Stephen Rogers. We have the legal notice, the affidavit of mailing, and the certified mailing receipts. In addition, we have several correspondence in favor of the proposed plan from a Dr. Jonathan Gordon and Wen Ald Gordon, from Alyssa and Richard Lucia, from Megan Hall, from Christina and Arthur Harrison, and Mark and Vieira Levitt.
Thank you, Jessica. Amy, should I read in all of these correspondences?
This is Amy. You do not have to read them verbatim.
Okay.
They're mentioned and they're part of the record.
So just so folks are aware, these are abutters, either direct or within the 100-foot radius that have reviewed and they understand and support the request. Who is here for this petition?
David Rogers.
Okay.
Owner.
David, could you spell your name for us?
Stephen, it's S-T-E-P-H-E-N.
Yep.
Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S.
Okay, Stephen. I don't know where I got David from. And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great, thank you. So tell us what you'd like to do.
My wife and I, Heidi, who's also here on the screen, we've lived at 16 Elm Street since 1998 and have slowly restored our house for the past 20 years. As you just stated, the existing lot is non-conforming dimensionally. The house, which was built in the 1890s, currently sits in the rear and front yard setbacks. We're asking relief for constructing a wood deck, a low wood deck that sits only about 7 to 12 inches above grade in our rear yard, which would require relief of 24 feet in the rear yard setback. We're also asking relief to build an accessory structure for a shower enclosure and a small tool shed for our garden tools that would be attached to the existing garage. There's an existing shower there now in the garage, which is driving part of the location for what we'd like to do the shower enclosure. We also are seeking relief because of this small lot, a dimensional variance for lot coverage of 5%. We can bring up, Jess, if we could just bring up the site plan by pinch surveying, please. So you can see the house and where the setbacks are. We'd like to do a wooden deck in the rear yard. We live in a very small house. We're looking for a outdoor space that would make a little bit more comfortable for us to stay in this house. The deck would be minimally visible from Elm Street and from our neighbors' yards. There's currently a fence along the rear lot line, the south lot line, and also on the east lot line. We're proposing that those fences would be replaced to create a buffer from our neighbors. If you go, Jess, if you go to the enlarged site plan, I think is the last drawing I submitted, which would be SKO. Yes, thank you. This gives a little bit more detail, thanks, on how we intend to use the deck. We thought about doing the deck in stone or concrete, but the rear yard is in shade. Even though it's a southern exposure, the rear yard is in shade for much of the day. And we're hoping to do a deck in wood that would be a little softer and warmer for us in the rear yard. We think that there's a precedent in the in-town neighborhood where there's a history of accessory structures that are within the rear yard setbacks and very close to the lot lines. There's also a precedent for raised decks, not as high as ours, on our neighbors, higher than ours, excuse me, on our neighbors' yards. For a hardship, it's non-conforming by dimension. As I said, our house is small. We have 4 adults living at home right now, and we're just trying to make a comfortable outdoor space on our small lot. I think I'll leave it there. We mentioned there will also be a landscape buffer, which came on the most recent and large site plan that I sent. So we would be doing landscaping within that 6-foot proposed setback for the deck, also to create a buffer between our neighbors. And I'll leave it at that. We spoke to more neighbors verbally than the neighbors you received letters from, and there was verbal support for this petition. Thank you.
Great. Board members, do you have any question for Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen, Rick Cherzak here. Stephen, you mentioned in your application the shed, but but then we're not in the advertisement. Where is the shed?
If you look at SK04, the enlarged plan, there's a note pointing to the shed. It is just above the shower towards Elm Street, towards the front of the lot. It's just a small 2-door, 18 square foot structure that would be a lean-to built onto the existing side of the garage. If you go to the, Jess, if you move to the elevations, if we go to SK02, yeah, there you go. So looking from Elm Street, north elevation, the shed would be this lean-to off to the side of the existing garage.
Okay, and do we need, Wayne, do we need leaf for that shed?
No, Rich, that shed was out of the setback line, so it did not require relief. The
Okay.
setback for accessory is 6 feet.
It's fine.
So just the
It's fine.
shower.
Yep, okay, enough said. Okay, all right, thank you.
You good?
Yep, I'm fine.
Anyone else? Questions for the applicant?
I had a question.
Sure, John.
I'm looking at the site plan, Stephen.
Yes.
And I don't see north, but to the left and the right are existing garages. Are those your neighbors' garages?
Yes, those are our neighbors' garages, yes.
And to the, unfortunately, there's no north on this map, but to the rear of the property, I guess, there's another shed that's off property.
Yes, that is a shed, yes.
Why'd they put those on there?
I wanted to demonstrate that there's precedent within the
Okay.
in-town neighborhoods.
All right, that's it. Yeah, I get it. Fine, I get it. Thank you.
Okay, board members, any other questions?
Yeah, this is Bill Rosen. Just
go ahead, Bill.
I'm looking at the. Is the shower attached to the garage and the deck?
Yes, so one side of the shower head controls are on the garage wall, and we are proposing to enter the shower enclosure from the deck level. Yes.
And the shed that's in front of the shower, is there a space between that and the deck?
But no, that would come up to the edge of the deck also.
Okay. So the picture that I saw, there was a space between, well, I guess there isn't any deck there in that picture, so, okay, I got it.
There is a small space, but it looks like a little step on there, but yeah. Because this is a ground-based deck essentially, right? You're only going to be 2 steps off the ground.
Yeah, you said-
Not even. We're one step up at the north side of the deck, close to the house.
Okay.
Grade drops off slightly towards the rear, and we would probably be a large step, if you will, off the backside of the deck.
And your house, it actually sits, the Elm Street runs east-west and it faces north, your house, right?
Correct. Yes, the site plan, if you're looking at Z100, is oriented north.
Yep.
And I think also the pinch plan is oriented north. So top
that
of sheet is north.
That little circle with the line
Yeah,
that
that's-
Jessica is going over is
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, any other board members have any questions, comments? Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions for the applicant? Or any questions relating to this petition, I should say? And Jessica, is there anyone out there in the first place?
No, there's 2 people out there, and no one has raised their hand.
So this is, I mean, this is part of my hood. I mean, I live only a few blocks away. I'm very familiar with the area and the density and the very uniqueness of the placement of buildings. I have a shed that was dragged about a foot away from the property line, so I understand how things are not perfect. So I get it. I mean, it makes sense. You did a beautiful job on the house. Elm Street is a little jewel in the neighborhood, so well done. Does anyone on the board have any concerns or any further discussion on this? Everyone feel okay about this?
Yep.
Okay. Someone want to give to make a motion?
Absolutely. I want to make a motion because Mr. Bernardo asked me to make it. This is Mr. Jurzak here. Okay.
Excellent.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the petition of Heidi.
Rick, we can't hear you when you kind of look off camera. We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start all over then. Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Heidi Henderson and Stephen Rogers, 16 Elm Street, South Kingstown, Rhode Island, for a dimensional variance of the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct an attached deck and outdoor shower closer to the rear property line. Let me see. The deck will be located 6 feet from the rear property line. The required setback is 30 feet. Relief of 24 feet is requested. Okay, the accessory outdoor shower will be located 4 feet from the rear property line. The required rear setback for accessory structures is 6 feet. Relief of 2 feet is requested. Also, they are asking for relief from the maximum 25% lot coverage requirement. With the new deck, the shed, and the outdoor shower, this will increase the overall lot coverage to 1,723 square feet or 30%, okay, lot coverage. So therefore, 5% relief or 270 square feet relief is requested. All right. The following individual spoke as a representative of the applicant. He is actually the applicant, Stephen Rogers. Heidi Henderson was there also, but she did not speak, though we could see her. Okay. With regard to other people speaking in favor of this petition, no one actually spoke, but a number of neighbors sent in letters in favor of the applicant. They were all read or listed by Jessica Spence. Okay. during the evidence submitted, okay? I'd like to incorporate by reference into the record, actually 4 sketches. The first zoning sketch, okay, by Pinch Land Surveying, okay, dated May 2020. Then there are 3 other sketches labeled respectively Z1.0, SK-02, and SK-03, okay, all labeled zoning 610-20 by Stephen Rogers Architect LLC, okay? All right. With regards to the findings, the board finds the hardship for which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of subject land. Can't hear me again?
Yes.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna have to talk louder.
Muted you.
Okay. All right. The board finds that the hardship for which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, okay? Because, all right, the very nature of the lot is such that it is a very small lot, okay? Only in dimension, I believe, let's see, 79 by 73, okay? And due to the location of the house, okay, and the location of the garage, this is pretty much the only place that you could place these structures, all right, and have any beneficial use of them, okay? Second, the board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. I think the applicant testified that this house was built in the 1890s. So clearly, okay, they had nothing to do with putting the house where it is. They don't look that old, all right? And clearly, all they want is a deck and a shower. They're not looking for financial gain. That's very clear, all right? Number 3, the board finds the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance because, okay, there was testimony given, including testimony by, or a comment made by our esteemed chairman, Rob Cagnetta, that this area has very similar structures on it, okay? And that they've done a marvelous job there, all right? And that it will only increase the general character of the neighborhood, okay? Number 4, the board finds the relief to be granted, okay, is the least relief necessary because, okay, there's really nowhere else to put a deck, and they're not asking for anything outrageous in size, and they're asking for a shower, okay? So that it's pretty much minimum relief that we could be granted. And the last, the board finds the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, okay? Because without this relief, they pretty much would not be able to put a usable deck and a shower on the subject property. It's a small piece of property. They would be blocking the garage if they went to the other side of the house, okay? There's nowhere else to put it, okay? So for this reason, I ask that this petition be approved. That's it.
Fantastic. Okay. Would anyone like to make a second or to second it?
I'll second the motion.
All right, Mr. Bernardo, second. Any discussion? Okay. Mr. Jurzak,
Aye.
Mr. Bernardo,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Aye.
Mr. Mark,
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Happy
Thank
shower.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, next we have the petition of Manny M. Vieira of 80 Brook Ridge Drive in Exeter, Rhode Island, 02822 for a special use permit under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking the approval of a special use permit to locate an on-site wastewater treatment system closer to a wetlands than allowed. 150 feet is required, 110 feet is proposed. Relief of 40 feet is requested. This parcel was granted a special use permit for the same relief sought on this application on October 22nd, 2014, but the approval period expired. The project had also received approval from the Conservation Commission on July 16th, 2014. There is no change to the original location of the OWTS system. The lot size is 0.47 acres. The special use permit is required per our zoning ordinance, section 504, the special use permit location of OWTS, and section 907, standards of relief. The property is owned by Manny M. and Maria R. Vieira for premises located on Parkwood Drive, South Kingstown, Rhode Island. Assessors map 31-2, lot 82, and zoned R20. And Jessica, what do we have for submittals?
We have an application signed and dated June 12th, 2020. We have an owner authorization form signed and notarized June 12th, 2020. We have the 200-foot radius map and abutters list. We have a notice of decision from the Zoning Board of Review recorded into land evidence on October 22nd, 2014. We have the Conservation Commission advisory opinion dated July 16th, 2014. We have a letter from Rhode Island DEM dated April 11th, 2014. We have a letter from Environmental Planning and Surveying, Inc., dated May 18th, 2020. We have Environmental Planning and Surveying, Inc. Plan that was prepared and dated April 20th, 2020. I'm sorry, June 1st, 2020. We have the floor plan and specs from the Sawgrass collection. We have a stormwater management plan, also prepared by Environmental Planning, dated April 2020. We have the legal notice, affidavit of mailing, and certified mailing receipts. And then we have two correspondents from neighboring objectors. One is Tim Gleason and Brenda Roshley, dated July 13th, 2020. And the other is a Don and Judy Zeal, dated July 17th, 2020.
Thank you very much. And who is here on behalf of this petition? Oh, hang on. Do you have to unmute yourself, Mr. Vieira? Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. And you are?
Manny Vieira.
Manny, could you spell your name, please?
M-A-N-N-Y, and last name Vieira, V-I-E-I-R-A.
Great. And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Thank you. So go ahead.
Well, I've lived in South Kingston since 1998. And back in 2014, I purchased this lot with the intention of building a retirement home. But what I didn't realize, because I didn't have a set date for which this would happen, that the approvals would expire. So when I went to the town to get a building permit after selling my house, I come to realize that I have to reapply for the approvals which were granted before for this lot. So I come before you to ask for that approval again.
And has anything changed with the system? Is it the same design?
Same design. The only difference might be the person that I bought this lot from, they put like a genetic plan because he intended to sell it. And originally, I think it was like a 2-floor house, about 3,000 square feet. But I just want a single floor, about 15 to 1,700 square feet house. And that's the only difference. But the location of the system is still the same. I haven't changed anything like that.
So the proposed house is going to be within the setback, so you don't need any dimensional variances or anything like that.
Right, exactly.
And still a still a 3-bedroom?
Yes,
Name? Okay. And the conservation, DEM approvals, all of that hasn't changed? You don't need to?
right. So as I was told by the engineer that drew this up originally, is that the only thing that it's no longer approved because as expired, it was the special use permit, which is what I'm requesting tonight from you.
Okay. So no other approvals have expired, just the zoning.
As I understand, no.
Board members, anybody have any questions for Mr.?
Yes, Tom Daniels. I have a couple of questions for the applicant. I'm looking at the stormwater management plan. I guess that's pretty much a site plan, but I don't see I see it's dated April 2020, but I'm wondering if you had submitted a site plan for your 2014 approval for your original.
No, all that was done by the previous owner. I bought the lot and had all the approvals to build, so I didn't change any of that. The only thing that the engineer did is put the house plan, the footprint of it on the lot.
Okay, well, the reason I asked that is because the OWTS original permit was granted based on the existing site plan in 2014 with no changes. And I'm asking if you can testify that that plan in 2014 is the same as it is today.
Yes, it is. Nothing has changed.
Okay. And the OWTS permit is still valid, hasn't expired?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members, questions? No? Okay, anyone? Yes.
Excuse me, this is Amy. I may have missed it and I apologize if so. Was Mr. Vieira sworn in?
Yes.
Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. I had to stop and think, but yes. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that has any questions for Mr. Vieira? Is that right? No. I'm not supposed to ask that. Am I supposed to ask that?
Sure, yep, you can have that. That's that the chair can call for people to raise their hands.
But I didn't know if any of the objectors were here and had questions for Mr. Vieira.
There is a Mr. Gleason on the line and he submitted correspondence in opposition to the application.
So I will allow Mr. Gleason to talk in the event he's having an issue raising his hand.
There we go.
There we go.
Mr. Gleason, can you hear us? And can you?
All right, I'm gonna have to move him to a panelist because of the version of Zoom he's using. So he should be coming over right now. There he is.
Great. Mr. Gleason, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Can't read.
There you go.
There you go.
Hi, can you hear us?
I can. Mr. Gleason, could you please spell your name?
Timothy, Timothy, Gleason, Gleason.
And do you want to speak as well?
Yes, it's Brenda
Both
Rash.
you guys going to speak, I should say?
Brenda will do the majority of the speaking.
So I'm Brenda Rashley, BRENDA RASHLEIGH.
Okay, and do both of you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks very much. So we oppose this permit. We're concerned that the septic discharge and the encroachment into the setback poses a risk to wetland resources and groundwater quality. The property appears to be on the border of the groundwater protection overlay area, and hydrologically it's connected to a complex of water resources, including the vernal pond in Potter Woods. So it's just a valuable habitat, particularly for amphibians. In terms of groundwater pollution, we're primarily concerned about nitrogen and phosphorus, also pharmaceuticals, care products, pathogens, viruses. So just we noted in our letter that nutrients are an increasing problem in South Kingstown, including nitrate in the drinking water, overgrowth of algae, including harmful algal blooms, which impact human and environmental health. So I want to note too about increased stormwater that we're concerned about. And the contribution of water to Parkwood Drive, maybe changing the area's character. Parkwood already has water issues. In the winter, there's a water comes across the road and creates an ice slick, and it's kind of on a blind curve, so it's a bit dangerous. And I'm concerned that this property, this development is going to increase the stormwater. I'm not sure exactly. It looks like the impervious surface or the square footage was 2252 in the old plan, and I didn't see a copy of the square footage in the new plan. So maybe that's a question for the board. And I just note, so using the EPA stormwater calculator, I couldn't do a 25-year, but for a 30-year, calculating a 45.9% difference between a pure forested versus the house as proposed with the rain garden and permeable driveway. So in terms of cumulative and integrative effects, which I know you consider as a zoning board, I just want to note that it appears that the entire house is going to be within the setback, not just the OWTS. And so that the impacts to the wetlands would be not only the septic system, but also the clearing and the grading of the land based on the impermeable surface due to the house. And so I think that the setback wouldn't function the way a vegetated one would, and they wouldn't be able to revegetate the way that ordinance calls for. And to just note that several years have passed, so I ask that you would just carefully reconsider and re-review the impacts of this development. We know more than we did in 2014 about climate, hydrology, stormwater, and pollution. And the South Kingston Conservation Commission reviewed back in 2014. It's unclear whether those recommendations they were mentioned in this permit that expired. So I don't know if they also expired. So maybe that's a question for Amy. But we ask that if possible, that they could reconsider the proposal and that the approval could be based on conditional on any additional recommendations or mitigation they might suggest. So thank you for the opportunity to comment, and thank you for considering our input.
Okay, so your questions really are the impact of not only the septic system, but the development of the site. I mean, we're only here for the septic system. The site's development is it's a legal lot on record, I believe, right? So they have the ability to build on that, and they're building within the setbacks. And as for stormwater, I know stormwater is a whole nother regulation, another aspect of the building, where there's a zero discharge rule, that you're not supposed to have your property run off to the street. You're supposed to contain all of it. But still, that's not under, like, what we're really here for is that he's 110 feet away from the wetland, not 150. It seems like that you know, of your concerns, the effect of the system on the environment is of utmost concern, right? And the Conservation Commission and just the fact it was some years ago that technology changed. Mr. Vieira, now I don't know if you can answer a lot of those questions in terms of the system itself, and if the system can prevent some of the concerns.
Well, the only thing that I've been told by the engineer, which if I know there was going to be questions about that, I would invite him to answer these questions. But he says that's like a foolproof system. That's the only thing that's safe. There will be no questions about it. So I'm just repeating what I heard. I'm not sure if that's the case or not.
Right. So Amy, short of sort of the ability for an expert to respond to this, I mean, even though we might understand these systems, it's not fair for us to defend the use of it, right?
So here's what I think. This is Amy Goins, legal counsel. Right, this is considered a new application because the old approval expired. It wasn't extended to keep it alive. And you know that it was kept alive until 2017. I'm sorry, 2017 is when tolling ended and the clock started ticking. So given that the OWTS approval was received from DEM before 2017, it wouldn't be considered conditional. So I believe it expired in 2018. I think the questions for the board is, have conditions changed since 2018? That's a valid question, but I would say since 2018, not 2014. I think there's also a question regarding competency of the testimony before you. I think the board could certainly choose to take judicial notice of the prior record and the fact that the prior record was supported by expert testimony. And just a minute, because I'm reviewing the previous approval from 2014, right? The previous approval, the applicant, the predecessor in interest was represented by an attorney and Wes Grant. The previous application did receive an approval from the Conservation Commission, or a recommendation of approval from the Conservation Commission. You can take that into account. Tonight, the applicant doesn't have any experts with him, so I think the zoning board has two options. One, you can base your approval, if you choose to grant it, on the fact of the prior approval and the fact that conditions have not substantially changed, if that's what you find, since 2018, and the fact that the site plans are exactly the same. Or you could advise the applicant to appear next month with experts to testify to that effect, and or refer the application back to the Conservation Commission for a second look. That is in your discretion.
So is it considered a bias? I mean, I was the one that made this motion back in 2014. Not that I remember this petition in particular, but certainly the players involved in terms of Wes Grant and the system that's being proposed.
Yeah, Rob, I don't think you have to recuse from consideration of this simply because you participated in the previous approval. If anything, I think it's good that you were there then, because this is considered a new application. So it isn't as if you've prejudged this one.
Right.
Obviously it's, based on the same conditions, but it's technically considered a new application. So I have no issue with you sitting on this.
But I can't sort of use sort of what happened then as the expert testimony towards this.
I don't think you can base it on your memory alone, but you and the other board members can, and again, the public can take, I'll call it judicial notice of the fact of the prior approval, which was provided to you and to the applicants. It's, I'm sorry, to the objectors. It's on the town's website. So again, I think you can take notice of that.
Okay, and I'm sorry, your first name is Gleason, is it Brenda? No, Brenda. So have you had a chance to sort of look at the decision from 2014 in terms of how it was explained, in terms of all the concerns, in terms of the type of system that's used, the runoff that's on the property and things like that? Did you get a chance to see that?
Yes, I did. Although I didn't see that there was a stormwater plan mentioned, which I didn't see. And I haven't seen a new site plan. I know they said there's something about a corner being changed. It was a diagonal and it got changed. So I was just wondering if that changed the square footage. And I said a couple rain gardens got moved. So,
I mean, in the decision, it did talk about water control systems for runoff with rain gardens. But if, I mean, the applicant did mention that the plan may change. So I don't know if it's an issue for us to include this plan.
Go ahead, Rob. Finish
No,
what you're saying.
No, you might finish it for me, so go ahead.
Well, I would just ask, I'm sorry, it's Tim and Brenda Gleason. I would just ask if they've reviewed the site plan dated April 2020 that's posted on the town's website. And Jess, perhaps you can direct them to get to the current zoning applications page because in my opinion, they could review it now, and perhaps it'd be appropriate to take a 5-minute recess in order to allow them to do that. Or again, you can choose to continue it to give them that opportunity. You know, we post these things in advance so that everyone has the opportunity to review them before the meeting. But of course, you know, we are more familiar with that than the than someone who, you know, a neighbor who calls in.
And Mr. Vieira, you so this plan that Jessica has now up on the screen, this is your intent to build it according to these plans?
Yes, it is. I don't have enough details on the floor plan, but that's the basic footprint that I'm looking to build.
So the footprint, the rain gardens,
all of that. So
of the on-site wastewater treatment, the driveway, all of that is your plan.
yes, I will not change anything other than when they originally drew this up, there was like a genetic footprint of a house that there was no particular plan. So I try to fit within that same footprint with the minor exception. Maybe the original one had the right side cut at 45 a little bit, and this one doesn't have that, but it's still within the perimeters allowed, I believe.
You're going to have it to this size or smaller, essentially, is what you're saying. Like within the
Exactly. What is shown there is what I would like to build.
Okay, thank you. Board members, while we're giving, or Tim and Brenda, did you guys get a chance to look at that, or do you need some more time?
Yeah, thanks. I'm just trying to see the square footage. It's hard to see on there.
Yep, it says 2252.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that's the new plan there?
This one is, yes, this is dated April 2020.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Bernardo here. Yeah, I just want to make sure we just don't get away from the fact that this is all about the OWTS approval.
Correct.
Requesting 40 feet of relief. And the fact of the matter is, this is an Avantex bottomless sand filter, and it's a denitrification system. I'm familiar with this. The board is. We've approved a good number of these, and we're always happy when we see them because we know it's going to improve the property and surrounding area from whatever type of waste system they had before. In theory, with these systems, when the effluent goes through it, you're supposed to have potable water, but and I think it sounds like the objector is fairly well educated in this area, and I would think she would take comfort in knowing that that system is the best you can get. It has alarms, it has contracts, it has maintenance schedules. You can't get any better system than this. I hate to see this homeowner have to come back, pay for an engineer, and come back and tell us something that this board already knows.
So, John, in mentioning the Conservation Commission and some of their requirements, they do talk about the electrical safeguard shall be installed with the system to ensure that no deliberate disconnection of power to the system. So there's that requirement.
I always go with the recommendations of the Conservation Commission.
Yep, they're also talking about pathogen reduction. So there's a number of conditions that are set.
Who knows? Maybe the systems have changed. Maybe they're even better than they were in 2014. All I know is you can't get better. I had one myself in Jamestown where we had a very high groundwater table, and the systems work beautifully, and they do take into consideration the fragile area in the form of the wetlands. And I applaud this objector for being concerned about that.
I think Mr. Vieira, are you, when you talk to the engineer, did they talk about needing to change the description of the system to upgrade the system or anything like that?
No changes were required to do this. As a matter of fact, I think it's in the process because this system was still under the previous owner's name and is being changed to my name as of 2 months ago.
So it's not as if they say, well, this system X isn't available anymore, so you're going to have to change to Y system or anything like that.
Exactly. And like I said, from my limited knowledge of these systems, I was told that this is the best you can do, that you can pass it without, any problems. And that's what I intend to put there because I don't want the problems for myself either.
Right. Okay. Board members, do you have any more questions for anyone? And then we'll go back to Brenda and Tim to see if they want to follow up as well. No.
I'll add to what John was saying before regarding the Advantex, and it is a regulation. Also having the same system myself, it's now part of the DEM recording that these systems are monitored on an annual basis through like an effluential technology. So a contract is required and it becomes recorded with the town and the DEM.
That was Mr. Mark.
Yes.
Thank you. So Tim and Brenda, how do you feel? I mean, do you have any more questions or still concerns that I mean, how we doing?
Thank you for considering our concerns. The only thing I would just ask if possible to let the Conservation Commission take another look at it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else or just that's it? Have the conservation? Okay. Any other comments from anyone in the audience for or against? Is there anyone left out there, Jessica? No. Okay. So board members, how are we feeling about this? How are you feeling? Rich, how are you feeling? Rick, you. I'm looking at
me, whoever.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I have mixed feelings. Okay, I really don't want to make Mr. Vieira jump through a whole lot of hoops on this. Bothers me a bit that I'm not a scientist. I don't know what has changed with these with what in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I mean, I would, if I had, if someone said that, what would you suggest? I would say send it back to the Conservation Commission, but that's only my opinion.
Okay. Who else, John?
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Tom Daniels. My initial impression was that the Conservation Commission report is 6 years old. That was my initial reaction. It hasn't changed. Based on the testimony of the objector, it's very possible that the hydrology of that particular piece has changed in 6 years. And I don't wish to have the applicant jump through any hoops either. And I certainly respect Mr. Bernardo's statement about the current OWTS systems. I think we all know they are state of the art. However, I think it needs to go back to the commission to take another look at this based on current standards. And I also am a bit troubled that we don't have the original site plan from 2014. We have testimony that it's unchanged, but we have nothing to verify that it has not changed with the current 2020 site plan. And that was a requirement for the OWTS back in 2014. So I would support it going back to the Conservation Commission.
Anyone else, John?
Yeah, you know, we have a very bright board here. And the thing is, I'm thinking, I wonder if the applicant loses the right to have a conservation recommendation because it's a new application. I don't know. I'm thinking that would be prudent probably to send it back to them. The statement that the Conservation Commission made about the pathogens, that's kind of an open-ended puzzle for me. And I think if we just send it back to the commission, doesn't mean he has to bring an engineer and pay an engineer to come back unless that's going to help address any of the Conservation Commission's recommendations. But I think as a matter of prudence, it can't hurt, I guess, to send it back. I don't know what their timeline is, but I think it might be a good idea to send it back just to the commission.
Okay. Mr. Mark, how you feeling?
I think going back to the commission would place an undue burden on the applicant. And that's simply because that same system exists today. It's the system that's approved in every applicant that's come before us for wetlands and denitrification type systems. And again, as the owner of one and someone who's gone through that process, I don't think the outcome is going to change by going back to a conservation commission, whether or not they're looking at the hydrology patterns or anything of that nature. So again, I think it's an undue burden. It was approved once before based on the circumstances that are essentially the same before us today, with less of an impact, being a smaller house. So I kind of would support it as is.
Bill, what are you thinking, Mr. Rosen?
Well, I live off Parkwood on another cul-de-sac. The Forest Grove cul-de-sac essentially doesn't exist any longer. It's just a lot of mud. But there are several other lots in the area that have that system on them that have been approved within the last 10 years that I've lived here. I've lived here for close to 50 years. There is a drain off problem in terms of rain in the area. I happen to live down at the very end, and my lot has a 9-foot drop off, so I don't have any drainage problems at all. But I know up at that end, there is a drainage problem. I haven't been up there during the rainstorm, so I really don't know what happens when Mr. Gleason, et cetera, say that there's an ice patch there. I usually don't drive out of the area through that area. And Parkwood's a circle, and it's got the cul-de-sac that I live on and the cul-de-sac that Forest Grove or whatever it's called is or was at one time. I know some of the people that live up in that area, and I know that they've had water problems in the past. But I kind of agree with Bill. That property has been around here and empty for a very, very long time, and it would be nice to get something in there, and I think it would improve the general tenor of the property. And I think that with all the other above ground septic systems that are in here, and there's 2 or 3 of them in the immediate area. I think, I don't think it has to go back to the Conservation Commission.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have a little bit of a split, but at this point,
but I'm not voting, so.
Well, I know, but I think, and I haven't really said how I felt yet, but in the surface, it looks like we have 4 that are hesitant to see it go forward. So we're left with, I guess, a couple options, right? I mean, is it something that we can send back to the Conservation Commission?
This is Amy. Yes, you have the power to do that. And it's my understanding they meet the first Tuesday of the month. Now, you never know in August. August is a time when in a normal year, sometimes you have issues getting a quorum. There's fewer people going on vacation. So I think if you want to go that route, you could continue the application for 1 month and instruct the applicant that tomorrow they should contact the planning department to inquire about getting this on the next agenda of the Conservation Commission. And perhaps given that they've already seen it before, may not need as much lead time. I'm not sure what their application deadline is.
So Amy, excuse me, I just
Thanks.
looked online and August 4th is the next hearing. And then the one after that is September 1st. So it doesn't say what their deadlines are as far as filing, but I don't believe they have to advertise. So it may not be as far out as like zoning.
I think you're right. They have to post an agenda within 48 hours, weekends and holidays excluded. But I think next week would not be too late to get this on their plate.
And I mean, Mr. Vieira, I hope you understand that as a board, it's not really our jurisdiction to have the expertise, to know the impact, especially the environmental impact of a lot of these systems. We rely sort of on DEM and the Conservation Commission and others to provide us guidance, as well as expert testimony that'll help us make our decision. While we might have familiarity with this system, we just need to be sure that this is appropriate for the site. And certainly with some concerns by neighbors, it sort of raises our need to have it verified as appropriate. So hopefully it's not a big step, but now is this something that we would someone have to make a motion to push the petition to the Conservation Commission?
Right, it would be a motion to continue the application to the next meeting and to refer the application to the Conservation Commission. So it would be up to the applicant to follow up on that, but a formal motion referring it to the commission, I think, is in order.
Okay, but it's not that motion that's moving it to there. It's the applicant that has to physically move it or.
Right.
Okay. So with that, is there someone who would like to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'll do it. Tom Daniels. Move the petition of Manny M. Vieira forward 1 month with the advice to the applicant that he contact the Conservation Commission through the Planning Board as soon as possible to get a advisory opinion from that board, hopefully at their next meeting in August, so that we can push this forward to the next meeting of the zoning board in August.
Sorry, that date is?
That date is August 19th, is our next zoning board
Okay.
meeting.
August 19th.
August 19th. So a motion made by Mr. Daniels. Is there a second?
There is a second.
By Mr. Bernardo. Is there any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Bernardo?
Aye.
Mr. Jurzak?
Aye.
Mr. Mark?
Hey,
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes, continue for 1 month. Sorry, Mr. Villar. Thank you.
Okay.
So last, we have the petition of John E. Savastano of 191 Lake Avenue in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02879 for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a new attached garage and new covered deck closer to the front property line, closer than allowed. The garage will be located 16.7 feet from the property line. The required front yard setback is 35 feet. So the relief of 18.3 feet is requested. The proposed covered deck will be located 9.9 feet from the property line. The required yard setback is 35 feet. Relief of 25.1 feet is requested. The lot size is 0.393 acres, 0.93 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, which is our schedule for dimensional regulations, and section 907, which is our standards of relief. The owner of the property is John E. and Michelle Savastano for premises located at 191 Lake Avenue, assessors map 87.4, lot 39, and is zoned R20. And Jessica, what do we have for submittals?
We have an application dated June 10th, 2020 with the original Exhibit A. We have the owner authorization form, which was signed and notarized on June 10th, 2020. We have a 200-foot radius map and a butters list. We have the vision appraisal field card for map 87-4, lot 39. We have a survey plan showing existing conditions prepared by James Flynn, PLS, dated January 11th, 2020. We have a survey plan showing proposed conditions prepared by James Flynn, PLS, dated May 28th, 2020. We have the legal notice, the affidavit of mailing, and the certified mailing receipts. We received a revised Exhibit A that was received on July 16th, 2020. We have a neighborhood analysis report prepared by Pimentel Consulting, Inc., and that was dated June 22nd, 2020. And then we have a preliminary drawing dated February 20th, 2020, prepared by Thomas Leonardo and Associates Architects, Inc.
Great, thank you. And who is here for this petition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, it's John Kenyon, attorney for the applicant, John Savastano. Mr. Savastano and his wife, Michelle, own the property located at 191 Lake Avenue. The property is 41,219 square feet in size. It's in an R20 zoning district. It's the last lot on Lake Avenue before you run into Potter's Pond, and the rear of the property borders on Potter's Pond. There's an existing two-family home on the property, which is permitted as they have double the lot size required in an R20 zoning district. The existing house is located 14.9 feet from the front yard line, and 30 feet is required, so it's considered dimensionally non-conforming. There's also a detached garage and shed in front of the house that are located 14 feet from the front yard line. The house is serviced by town water and an existing septic system, which is located at the rear of the lot. The applicant's proposing to renovate the existing house and convert it into a single-family residence. The existing septic system will be replaced with a new OWTS located in the right front corner of the property. The applicant's proposing to demolish the existing garage and shed and replace them with an attached garage in almost the same location. The new garage will be located 16.7 feet away from the front yard line, which is actually 2.7 feet further away than the existing garage, but it still requires a variance of 18.3 feet. The applicant's also proposing the covered porch at the left corner of the property, which requires an additional variance. John Savastano is here tonight. He's the applicant, And also Ed Pimentel is here, and Jess, I saw he was in as a guest. I don't know if was moved up to an agenda. Great. So at this time, I'd like to start off with Mr. Savastano, if I can have him sworn in.
Okay, Mr. Savastano, could you please spell your name?
John, John, Savastano, Savastano.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth but nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, John.
So, Mr. Savastano, are you and your wife, Michelle, the owners of property at 191 Lake Avenue?
Yes, we are.
And how long have you owned that property?
Since the October 31st, 2019.
Thank you. Did you hire James Flynn to prepare the existing conditions plan that was submitted along with the application?
Yes, I did.
And can you just briefly go over the existing conditions of the property, where the existing house is located?
Sure. The existing condition of the house is a two-family structure located close to the street currently. The foundation, I think I don't have the lengths in front of me, but proposed to the water, it's I think 170 feet or something to that matter. But to the street side, it's extremely closer to the street side. It's about 80 feet long and built in 1960. The house has never been updated or renovated since then. So.
And is the house serviced by an existing septic system?
It is. It has an antiquated septic system that was a galley box system, I believe, that needs to be updated.
And is that located at the rear of the house?
It's in the rear of the property, close to the water. Yes.
And are you proposing to replace the existing septic system with a new OWTS?
Yes.
And is that going to be located in the right corner of the property?
Yes, correct.
And was that located there to keep it as far from the pond as possible?
Yes, absolutely.
And now you're proposing to reconstruct the house. Will it be on the same foundation as the existing house?
Correct. It'll stay on the exact same foundation.
And did you have Mr. Flynn also prepare a proposed condition plan that was submitted with the application?
I did.
And now will you be converting the existing house from a two-family to a one-family?
I will, yes.
And why are you proposing that?
My wife and I are going to reside there as our full-time residents.
And will the new house meet all the flood zone requirements for that area?
Yes, they will. Yes, it will.
And regarding the detached garage and the shed that are currently in front of the house, are you proposing to remove those?
We're going to remove the existing and put an attached garage similar in size, a little bit further away from the street. The existing basement, because of the location close to the water, that part of it would be in the flood zone, so it's not very amicable for storage. So the house is limited storage is why I'd like the garage to be, in the same area and the same size.
And will the new garage be further away than the existing garage from the front yard line?
It'll be about 4 feet further from the street. Yes.
And does it require a front yard variance of 18.3 feet?
Yes, it does.
And as you stated, that's the new attached garage will take the place of the existing detached garage and the shed?
Correct.
And is the house kind of diagonal on the lot?
It is.
And is the proposed garage located at the end of the house furthest away from the front yard line?
Yes.
And is the area for the garage limited due to the location of the new OWTS and the driveway over there?
Yes.
Now, are you also proposing a covered deck on the left side of the house?
I am.
And is that going to be in the same approximate location as the existing decks?
It is.
And have you located the deck in that area to keep it as far from the pond as possible?
Yes, exactly.
And did you propose a modest sized deck to reduce the amount of relief that was necessary?
Yes.
And will the proposed location of the deck in that area have any impact on sight lines of cars as they drive down Lake Avenue?
No, the existing, where it will be placed, the proposed deck will not have any adverse effect as to the site because of the last lot of where it is and how the people in the neighborhood come down and park. It will not have any effect as to what the condition is now.
Thank you. I have no further questions of Mr. Savasano. John, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just that when we were designing this, we took into effect that the existing conditions and tried to keep it very similar to what it was now.
And John, did you also submit house plans along with the application?
Yes, we did. Proposed house plans, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Savasano can answer any questions that the board members have on the proposed house or existing conditions or any of the plans that were submitted.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Board members, you have any questions for Mr. Savastano?
Yeah, just one, Tom Daniels. I'm trying to identify the deck on the drawing that you provided.
It says deck to the, if you're looking at this south elevation to the right.
Okay.
There's a chimney and then the covered deck there.
Okay, the fireplace and then proposed, oh, I see, okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, yep. Okay, so the deck encompasses the fireplace, basically? I see it, okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm good.
Thank you.
Any other board members, questions for Mr. Savastano? No? Okay. John, do you have any other witnesses or testimony?
Yes, Mr. Pimentel's here. He's going to testify. If I could have Ed first, after he gets sworn in, go over his professional background. He submitted a report in a neighborhood analysis and just go over the findings in the report, please.
Okay. So Ed, oh, yes, thank you, sir. Holding up your hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do, sir.
Great. Could you spell your name, please?
It's Edward, and the last name is spelled Pimentel, P as in Paul, I-M-E-N-T-E-L.
Okay. Mr. Pimentel, what is your expertise?
So I have a bachelor's and a master's in community and urban planning. I've been a nationally certified planner since 1994. I've worked in planning in states of Florida, Massachusetts, and several communities municipally for the last 30 plus years. I've also testified in all 39 cities and towns in Rhode Island, as well as throughout Southeastern Mass and in all superior courts. I have been before the South Kingstown Zoning Board, Planning Board, and even the council on a number of occasions. So.
Yep. Okay. So I don't think there's any issue in having you recognized as an expert in your field. Mr. Kenyon, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yes. So Ed, do you want to just go over the analysis of your report and then the findings also, please?
Absolutely. So typically I'll get into an analysis of neighborhood and I'll get into an analysis of property conditions, but I think actually there was so much detail here about the uniqueness of the property. And I think I should do it in the reverse and actually start to address the burdens first. So the hardship clearly results from the uniqueness of the pre-existing structure. So we've got this residence that, first of all, is an anomaly. There's a 2-family in this neighborhood, and albeit compliant with zoning, it is an anomaly. I analyzed a several block radius. I looked at a total of 69 properties. The vast majority, 96% of this property, or 60 properties, are all single family. So what the applicant would like to do is to bring something that's definitely more in characteristic with the surrounding neighborhood. The existing structure already is pre-existing dimensionally non-conforming. And the condition of the pre-existing garage is actually closer to the front property boundary. And that was where you would have the most concern of line of sight. And we're diminishing that and pushing that back, and we're reducing the setback there. So we're improving conditions. Where we incur a slightly greater setback is further towards the where the deck situation is. But we've made sure from an environmental perspective that the footprint of even the new structure never got any closer to the water line. And that's one of the premier concerns you have from a planning perspective, right? It's the environmental first, and then it's all the other conditions secondarily. So we've reduced a pre-existing dimensional nonconformity. We've slightly increased on another one, but we made sure that that was the furthest point from any line of sight issue. And by the way, it's only a deck. It's not principal living space where you have a lot of activity level. And we're reducing a 2 down to a single to be more characteristic of the neighborhood. Furthermore, and interestingly enough, even though we're building new, we're actually reducing the coverage on the property. So we're going from right now, it's approximately 12.8%, and we're bringing it down to, I think it's like 10.7% or a 2.10% reduction. So we're actually diminishing coverage. We're getting rid of a lot of impervious surface. We're bringing more pervious walkways, driveways, once again for natural and normal recharge area because of the conditions of the property and where we're located next to the coastline. So in my professional opinion as a planner, not only do I think we're in character with the neighborhood with the improvements, but I think we're actually improving overall conditions based on what's there now. So once again, the first burden is that the hardship results from the uniqueness of the property or structure. I believe it results from both, but primarily the existing structure. Number 2, these conditions have well predated the ownership of this property. So these are not self-created hardship. These are not self-created conditions. And if anything, we're helping to cure some of them. Number 3, as the property owner has testified, it's not primarily to realize greater financial gain. The applicant is actually trying to realize reasonable usage of a property in an enjoyment of a waterfront property. And they're usually a little bit more, as I call them, stately. But that's not out of character with the waterfront properties that line their area now, if you look at my neighborhood analysis. Curiously enough, this is probably one of the larger lots in that whole neighborhood. It's on average 4 times the size of the average lot, and yet it's only mere percentage points greater in overall building coverage. The average coverage is 9.9, and we're going to be 10.7 when we do the redesign. And we're talking a lot, 4 times the size. It's a really older neighborhood, pre-existing, a lot of nonconformities, a lot of dimensional setback deviations. I drove through that neighborhood several times because they all share the same zoning designation. It is what it is. It's an older community. But here we have an opportunity to cure some of the past pre-zoning conditions that we think we can do with the redesign. So given all of that, I believe we meet all of the burdens. We're in character with the neighborhood. We're consistent with the comprehensive plan. And once again, it is dimensional relief. The hardship, the litmus test is beyond a mere inconvenience. And if you were to deny it, you would just retain an old structure, 2-family, that's already pre-existing dimensionally non-conforming. Don't know if you have any questions.
Is that it, John? Or do you have any more questions?
I have no further questions. If the board has any of Mr. Pimentel.
Members, anything? No? Okay. Great. Thank you, sir. Hopefully you're not driving.
Thank you. Actually, I'm not driving, but I just got out of my own zoning board meeting. I had 6 agenda items on. So I've been texting with John all night. Are we on? Are we on? No, I'm in the car parked.
Good timing. Good timing.
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to get from East Providence to South Kingstown on Zoom, isn't it?
Oh my God, is it ever? Especially when you're getting on your own meetings and you're beat already by your own board.
Yes.
And to be honest, I had a little, I scared him a little bit. I thought we were earlier in the agenda. I had him run out of his meeting into the hallway to testify, and it was a false alarm.
It was a false alarm, but my chairman was such a sweetheart. He goes, "Hey, we have a lull anyway. Go answer whatever questions you have to answer, but make sure you're back in time." So I ran back when I said, "Oh, we're not on." All right. But
Perfect.
thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, John, do you have anyone else?
I have no further witnesses. We can answer any questions the board might have.
Okay. Board, any additional questions for the applicant or Mr. Kenyon? None. Okay. Good job, John. So I guess, okay. So how's everybody feeling about this? Anybody have any concerns or?
None.
None. Wow. Okay. Well,
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, just check and make sure no one in the audience wants to speak.
very good. Thank you, Jessica. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak? If you're not sure how to make yourself known, Jessica, there are no call-ins, just
There's no call-ins, so there's just. Two
raise your
people.
hand.
One of them works for John.
Okay. That's an inspector. Excellent.
But no one has raised their hand.
Okay. Thank you. So board members, is there anyone that wishes to say anything or make a motion, or how you feeling?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, Mr. Daniels.
A motion to approve the petition of John E. Savastano, 191 Lake Avenue, the property being the same address, assessors map 87-4, lot 39, and is zoned R20. The complete application was previously read into the record by the chairman. This is a motion to approve a dimensional variance. A relief of 18.3 is requested from the front property line for a garage, and a deck to be added to the property is relief of 25.1 is requested. Mr. Savastano testified that the current two-family house home will be remodeled into a one-family residence, and he intends to live there. And in order to improve the quality of the property, he is proposing to demolish a garage and existing shed and replace that with an attached garage. In addition to an overall plan of the home he has contracted for, he will be adding a deck to the southerly side. I believe it's the southerly side, and that will require the relief. And the other person that testified on behalf of the applicant is qualified as an expert witness, and that's Mr. Pimentel. And he testified that the surrounding area would certainly be enhanced by the changes to this property and the changes to the structure. He also indicated that the new structure would, in fact, take up less of the lot coverage. And he testified that everything that has been planned with the expansion of the unit in terms of the deck has taken the wetlands and the border of Potter's Pond into consideration, and tried to maintain as closely as possible the setback from the required wetlands. There was no one that spoke at the opposition to the request, and the materials that were entered into the record have been described by the administrative assistant and remain part of the record. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure, i.e., the OWTS will be located to the eastern portion of the proposed structure. Therefore, the deck can't be located on that side, and nor can the garage be located in that area. In addition, this is a highly sensitive area with regard to wetlands and with regard to setbacks. Therefore, it is indeed a unique piece of property with those considerations and constraints in mind. It will not alter the general characteristics of the area. We heard expert testimony again from Mr. Pimentel, and he is regarded as an expert and familiar with the area. He testified that this particular rebuild will certainly be in compliance and be certainly be within the characteristics of the surrounding area. The board finds that the hardship is not a result of any action by the applicant and any prior action, and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize a greater financial gain, because as he's testified, he intends to live there and he intends to make it his full-time residence. And in order to do so, the structure is currently a two-family house that will need to be revamped into a one-family structure. And the one family structure will in fact enhance the general characteristics of the neighborhood. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair or intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive community plan upon which our ordinance is based. Because again, we have expert testimony from the expert witness, Mr. Pimentel, that this will in fact enhance the characteristics of the area. And just by looking at the site plan, I think we can assume that going from a older two-family house or home structure, which in fact will be on the same exact footprint, will certainly enhance this neighborhood, which is in a residential zone. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least necessary relief because, as the ordinance requires, there is no other reasonable alternative for placement of the garage and or the deck due to the OWTS location planned and due to the fact that there are constraints from wetland setbacks and environmental concerns. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience because he is doing a complete rebuild of the home to a one-family residence. And in order to make that livable, he certainly needs a two-car garage attached to the house. And that will in fact reduce the setback from the front property line. And the deck is certainly an enhancement on the far edge of the property. And therefore, I recommend that we grant the required setbacks as described, and so moved.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second. Richard Jurzak.
Mr. Jurzak. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Daniels.
Aye.
Mr. Jurzak.
Aye.
Mr. Bernardo.
Aye.
Mark.
Yes, aye.
And Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Great.
you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you. Thank you, board.
All right. Just a couple other things. We have the approval of the July 15, 2020 zoning board minutes.
No, we don't. The minutes aren't quite ready yet.
Okay. So I'm just following the rules. So the attendance for the August 19th meeting, anyone not going to be here?
And again, everyone will need to be present because of the petitions that continued over.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone.
Well done.
Thank you. You made it
Hold
easy.
on.
About,
Great job, Rob.
are we trying to get another member?
Yeah, John, this is Wayne. I was informed at our last meeting that there was an applicant, and it's supposed to be, and Amy, you can probably speak on this, they're supposed to be moving forward with her to the town council for an appointment.
Okay,
Yes,
thank-
I did hear about that, but I don't know her name, so, but works out.
Yeah, trying to remember her name now.
I think I know her name.
She's from John Kenyon's office.
Is it Paige Stone? No.
I think I know her name for what it's worth, if anybody wants to.
Yeah, I think it's the former state police superintendent's wife. If that's who you're thinking.
Is
No,
that?
no, I'm
no?
not thinking that, so.
Oh, okay.
The former what superintendent? I'm sorry?
Former colonel.
Oh, yeah, it's Michelle Doherty. She's a real
Yeah.
estate broker.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
know her.
Doherty is, okay. Oh,
Yeah, he
cool.
was the former colonel.
Right. Brendan Doherty's wife.
Keep us flying straight. That's excellent.
Well,
Good.
I don't know where that stands. Amy, have you heard anything more on that? No.
You know, we will see the agenda for the council tomorrow night, right? I think they're meeting on Monday, aren't they?
Should post.
Should know, I think I'm gonna be there. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we'll have an update next month, if not a new member seated by then.
Fingers crossed.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good job, Rob.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Great night.
Good night.